In this video, we are ranking all 6 Terminator movies that have been released to date. Have always been a big fan of the Terminator movies, and here is my collection, even with the old school Terminator 1 on VHS. So we've got 6 movies to rank in this franchise. Now, you may be looking at my collection saying, where's Terminator 3? Well, I'll show you where it is. It's the movie that's going to kick this ranking off. Let's go do it.
Now listen to me very carefully.
Number 6.
And coming in at number 6, we have Terminator 3. Now this movie came out all the way back in 2003, and it was the first Terminator that was not directed or had anything to do with James Cameron. Cameron, of course, did the first 2 iconic Terminator movies. We'll see them later on the list. But this is the first one that he had nothing to do with, and it kind of shows. Now, I will say that half this movie is actually quite good. It's actually really quite good. Stuff with the Terminatrix, the female Terminator. Claire Danes as Sarah Connor. Thought she did a really good job there. The dynamic that you had going on there with the male versus the female Terminator, that was something different. That was okay. But there were some real stupid moments in this movie, like comedy moments that someone decided to throw into a Terminator movie. Like there's that part when they get that big chase scene going on, and some like bouncy blow up toy bounces on the road and it goes boing boing, and they add in sound effects. You guys will know what bit I mean. I thought that was stupid. I thought the part at the start with Arnie putting on those Elton John type star glasses or whatever, the whole bit at the start, it was just really stupid. They were trying to put comedy into it and it just didn't work. Those bits were really dumb. Like the first 2 movies were like so serious with their tone. So yeah, trying to add comedy into the Terminator movies, not a good idea. Thought they probably could have got someone a bit better for John Connor as well. I thought Nick Stahl just wasn't quite strong enough in that role. He did okay-ish maybe, but definitely thought they could have put someone stronger in that role of playing John Connor. I thought that was just miscast. Cool how they brought back Dr. Silberman. That was awesome. Some really good chase scenes. Definitely there was some good action in this movie. But this movie is really 50-50. There's some really good stuff and some really average stuff as well. So that is why it is number 6 for me.
Number 5.
And now we move on to number 5. It is 2009's Terminator Salvation. Now this movie may be low on the list, but that does not mean anything. This is not a bad movie by any stretch. In fact, all the movies on this list are great movies really, except for the one I just mentioned, Terminator 3. That does have some areas lacking. But Terminator Salvation, it is a pretty damn good movie in my opinion. Basically, this one is different from all the rest because it is based in the future. A really good cast for this movie. Anton Yelchin, rest in peace. He died very tragically. He plays Kyle Reese in this movie, does a really good job. You got Sam Worthington. He was really good as the half-robot, half-human dude. And Christian Bale as John Connor was very strong as well. So I thought the futuristic Terminators in this movie looked really awesome. The whole set design that they used was really good. Everything really looked legit. A lot of time and effort was put into this movie with designing all the sets and all the futuristic robots. They really put a lot of effort into this movie if you watch the behind the scenes making of it. And there's a really strong theme and a really good storyline going on in this movie too. And it really pays off at the end when Sam Worthington's character has to give his heart to John Connor. It just really rounds out a really good story. Some great action in this movie, as I say, a really good cast. Some people do hate on this movie, but it's not a bad movie at all. It's really cool. Post-apocalyptic Terminator Salvation. It's awesome.
Number 4.
And coming in at number 4, it is 2019's Terminator Dark Fate. Now, just saw this movie yesterday on the big screen, and I liked it. It was good. I know there's a lot of talk and a lot of buzz about it not doing well at the box office or whatever, and people giving it bad reviews, but whatever. This is a good Terminator movie. A ton of awesome over-the-top action, massive explosions. Arnold is really awesome in this movie, but there are a couple of wee issues with the movie. I'm not so sure I like what they did with John Connor right at the start when they killed him off. It was just like too quick and too easy. Like, why wasn't there a good Terminator to help him at that point, there and then, like there usually is? The bad Terminator, Arnie, just came up, killed him, and it was over in like 5 seconds. That was it. However, the CGI that they did for that part was awesome, especially on Linda Hamilton and Edward Furlong. Looked really good. The CGI on the young Arnold, that wasn't too bad. That was pretty good too. But it's like after everything that went down in Terminator 2, for it to just end like that in just a couple of quick seconds, where was the good Terminator to come and save John? That's usually always there. It was just all too quick and all too easy, so I'm not so sure about that bit. Did like how at the very start of the movie, like right at the start, they like flash back to that scene from Terminator 2 with Sarah Connor when she's being interrogated, as it was a direct sequel from T2. That's cool how they started that. It was cool seeing that again. And then, as I say, they went into the weird thing with John Connor dying. And then I actually found the first part of the movie, for me, it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was like, where's Arnie? And things just kind of were a wee bit slow in there, even with Linda Hamilton, who dropped a ton of F-bombs in this movie, by the way. So I thought the first part of the movie, not so flash, but the second part was very awesome. As soon as Arnold came into it, things just ramped up like 100%, and the movie was awesome from there on out. However, I have only watched the movie once, so usually on multiple viewings, you see different things and you enjoy things more and you get a better take on the movie. But my first initial reaction was the first part maybe lagged a bit, but the second part was just totally awesome. There were good bits in that first part of the movie, but the movie really did start taking off when Arnie came into it. And in my opinion, Arnie really did make this movie. It was awesome seeing Linda Hamilton back, and she was really good too. I don't know if that is exactly what I was expecting, like with hearing that Arnie and Linda Hamilton is going to be back and you got James Cameron back on board. I thought the movie might be a bit different to that. There's like a new savior. It's not John Connor now. It's some girl, Danny or something like that. And you've got this new force that they've got to fight against. That's Legion. So there's a whole ton of new stuff going on here. It's taken the franchise in a totally different direction. Arnie's character as the Terminator was totally different. He had really grew a conscience, as they said in the movie, and he had like a family he was looking after. And he had really become way more like a human than he had in any of the other Terminators. So it was really different. There was a lot of really new stuff in here, a lot of stuff to wrap your head around. Maybe they went a bit too far in the new direction and they should have just kept things maybe a bit more old school, but as I say, maybe I have to watch it a couple more times yet. But for me, when it got going and all the action got ramped up, there's really nothing to complain about here. It was an awesome movie. Maybe hard to know exactly where to place it on the list. I would put it ahead of T3 and Salvation. However, I'm not going to rank it above Terminator Genisys because I thought that movie was really cool. And we're going to go check that one out right now.
Number 3.
And next up, it is Terminator Genisys. Now, there are some people out there who may not like this movie so much either, but this movie, in my opinion, it's really strong. There is a lot to like about it. First up, you've got quite a strong cast here. You have Arnie back in the series for the first time since Terminator 3, so big bonus there. Emilia Clarke from the Game of Thrones playing Sarah Connor. She does a really good job, really strong job. Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese. He had a really good performance in this movie. He really did nothing wrong and played his role very well also. Jason Clarke, a bit of a 50-50, neither here nor there, so-so, as John Connor. Don't know if he quite fit the role, but did okay. That would be the only area maybe where there was a bit of a ho-hum about it, but didn't completely let the side down. Loved how they went back to Terminator 1 in this, and they recreated everything from the first Terminator going back in time. The sets and the dialogue and everything was all the same. So I thought that was really cool how they recreated that moment from Terminator 1 and put it into this movie. there were also some really good comedic moments. Not like how I mentioned in Terminator 3, that was just like stupid funny, but there were some really cool, funny moments between Kyle Reese and the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in this movie. Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese, he just didn't trust the Terminator at all throughout the whole movie. And there was some really funny back and forth going on there between him and Arnold, so guys who have seen this movie will know what I'm talking about. But as I say, there is a lot to like about this movie. Not a bad movie at all.
Number 2.
And my number 2, it has got to be the classic, the original Terminator. What else can be said that hasn't already been said about this movie? Came out all the way back in 1984. This movie has become an absolute cult classic. So many classic moments and so many classic lines have come from this movie. Sarah Connor, fuck you, asshole. I'll be back. Excuse my terrible Arnie impersonations there, but you get the picture. This one's really dark. Totally awesome cast with Linda Hamilton and Arnie, of course, and Michael Biehn playing Kyle Reese. Damn, he's such an awesome Kyle Reese in this movie. Just totally kicks ass. Great suspense in this movie with the Terminator hunting down Sarah Connor. Her and Kyle Reese are always on the run. Arnie is just relentless in this movie. A very strong movie, and it still holds up. You got James Cameron at the helm on this one. Did a totally awesome job. And this is where the legend all began. It's my number 2. It is the original Terminator.
Number 1.
Which leads me to my number 1. It's Terminator 2. And this is definitely one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Easy. This thing just never lets up. So ahead of its time, came out all the way back in 1991, but this thing could come out today in present day and you wouldn't even notice it. It was that far ahead of its time when it came out. People were just blown away by this movie. The special effects. James Cameron, just awesome again. You had Arnie totally flipped from being the bad guy, a real bad guy in the first Terminator, and now he's a good guy in Terminator 2, so that whole dynamic. And you got Sarah Connor's reaction to that. She's like, the famous line, you know, what's your story? I mean, she's totally freaked out the first time she sees Arnie, and then, you know, you got John Connor as well, her son now growing up. You hear all about him in the first Terminator movie, and now he's growing up, John Connor. He's a young boy, Sarah's son. So it's cool to see Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, and Arnie all work together. They got to try and take down Skynet. Totally awesome cast here. Obviously, Linda Hamilton returning as Sarah Connor. Totally awesome again. Totally a badass in this movie. Not that timid waitress that she was in the first one. So her character has gone a total 180. Robert Patrick, awesome as a T-1000. The special effects they use with the T-1000, shape-shifting, just awesome. Edward Furlong, this was his first time ever on the big screen. Can you believe that? Just a total professional as the young John Connor. Joe Morton, who played Miles Dyson, the dude who was the head of Skynet. Wow. That scene where he's like holding that detonator charge, and if he drops it, everything's gonna blow. His performance there is just unreal. As I say, this movie never lets up. It's just like a hard-out chase movie from start to end with the T-1000 pursuing John Connor. Awesome action, a great script. There's like 3 cool versions of this film you can get. You got the theatrical release, which is totally awesome. You got the special edition, which adds a few more scenes. That's really cool too. Everyone will know that famous scene where Arnie's got a smile. And there's even a 3rd edition, which adds a couple more scenes as well. Got an alternate ending for this movie. That's pretty cool as well. All the stuff you can check out on the DVD and Blu-ray extras. I mean, there is a reason why this movie has grossed well over $500 million worldwide at the box office. If you're new to the Terminator franchise and you've never checked out this movie for one reason or another, man, check it out. You will love it. It's Terminator 2. And it is my number 1 movie in the series. Thanks guys for checking out the video. Be sure to leave your rankings in the comment section. Be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll catch you next time.